Playtime makes dishes hungry.
Superstars still 2-0 over Even in Death. Even in Death hoping for that first victory. Not quite getting it. Not yet.
Not yet. I don't know if the next game is going to be it, because I think you brought up a really good point when you were like, Dragonshire is their best map. That's why they keep bringing us to it, and it's why that is always the game where it's like, oh, is this the one where Even in Death gets it? And then you can see the strengths that they show on Dragonshire, especially in the mid and early parts of the game, they just don't have that on some of the other maps, and it's not enough to rival that of Superstars. So I do feel like it's only going to get slowly more into the favor of Superstars as the series goes on. But I would like to say that, I think Even in Death has an opportunity to get a win over Superstars. I don't think it's that far off, like especially if there's a huge misplay in terms of draft on the side of Superstars that Even in Death might be able to punish.
Well, let's see what the battleground is and see where there might be a possibility for them to get that win. Now, we are going to Sky Temple. Again, Even in Death has chosen to go to the battleground or choose the battleground over having first pick. And as we talked about before, for a team that's new, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's the safest route you can go. Keep the only thing constant to be able to better yourself and look to improve. If you aren't going there, even if you are going for a flat win, sometimes picking the map is best there too. But just going on Sky, one of our more stable maps, we need to build an arsenal of like what we want to focus on. So why would we let our opponent, take us to something we just already feel uncomfortable on? Because can you imagine trying to improve and every game you get is like on Warhead Junction? You're like, how do I learn to play the actual video game when Warhead is his own, unique meta and play style? So I like that we see this out of Even in Death, even though again, it's not common to see it.
It also keeps them in the same pick spot too. They know they're going to be at second pick, so they can start to build up some data of things, of figuring out what's working out for them specifically in a draft. Superstars have banned Tassadar. We've got an Uther ban to follow up.
Is it Genji once more for Superstars? They picked it on Tomb. I don't see any argument not to move into a hero unless you want the Dahaka or something of the like. They agree that's going to be Hosty once more. Man, I liked it in in the last game. I expect to be impressed here as well on Sky. An immediate Illidan, though, for Even in Death.
Wow. That is a pretty early Illidan.
And the fact that second pick is not locked in. Again, this is a psych thing more than it is a actual thing, but the fact that that was not immediately a Nubarak Illidan and they picked Illidan and hesitate on the Anub makes me already scared.
By the way, I was incorrect. There has been one other Superstars Genji game. Not sure if it was Hosty who played that there too, but Hosty made it a reason why they were able to pick Genji. And honestly, you should have a Genji player right now on the team. At least one.
It's one of those
maybe two.
There's right now in the game, I would say there's 4 heroes you have to have a player for, right? Just in general, out of all of Heroes history, there's been 4 that stand out to me. Uther has always been one. Tyrael, Zeratul are the others, and I think Genji's at that point where he is if you can't play him, you just can't play the video game. You honestly don't have a spot at HGC North America if you do not have a slot on the Genji.
Did you say donut?
I said do not, but it was close enough. I like donut better. I like donut better.
Arthas Dahaka. Arthas as a counter to Illidan. We've seen him on Sky Temple just in general anyway. He can stand on the point of a boss for a long time. Dahaka to get the global. And I must say, Dread, that looks like a scary draft for Superstars now.
Yeah, it's not only responsive to their opponents, it's objectively powerful. A lot of things are really working for them. It is heavy melee, which Even in Death might be looking to focus on punishing with Tacit already banned away. You're immediately, if you're Superstars, you're asking what else are they going to try and enable this Illidan with? What kind of is there a double support that you're afraid of? Are you going to ban out the Ariel? I think that's probably the safest route because Zarya has fallen so far and away that you don't go ooh, I'm afraid of the Illidan Zarya. And even then, Zarya isn't nearly as impactful as some of those other heroes and enabling.
They did. On Towers, they had a Vala Ariel Illidan composition too versus Team Freedom. And the Vala could play a lot more freely knowing that the Illidan was playing in the backline, but Superstars may not recognize this.
So see this ban by Superstars, not only for the conversation we just had, but why I'm not a huge fan of this is I see that a lot of people do not want a Li Ming, because when you have Li Ming and Illidan, it's like one kill and holy cow, how do I win these fights? But you've already drafted a very mobile hero, Genji, with a lot of assassination potential onto a Li Ming if it's picked. And then you have 2 very beefy frontliners that should be able to sustain through it. So if you ban out the Li Ming, there's she's not going to get the effectiveness that you would want. I understand the thought process because you're like, oh, you know, I can get that. But when you're looking at what you've picked to adjust to that Illidan, it made no sense. And the Lunara makes way more sense.
Love that. We've seen so many Lunara Illidan combinations because Illidan can be the assassin if Lunara doesn't assassinate someone of her own with Leaping Strike. But he pairs well with the poisons. But still, there's the Vala Ariel for even in death.
I'm going to be honest, I would have rather it be Ariel above all else.
Sure.
Ariel removes all of the problems. Lunara is only a fraction of them. And I definitely can see the thought process of especially the AoE slowing and what that can do to Illidan. But what if you didn't even have to worry about the Ariel double supporting on the Illidan in the first place? On a map like Sky Temple, every single time I feel like it's like, you know, I've given up on even a Death's opportunity to be able to win the game. On something like this, like, they have a very well-rounded, strong composition, and then suddenly I'm like, well, maybe they have a chance, especially with something like Illidan, where much like the Varian argument, it's so continuous and you have to play perfectly so often. He's very, very powerful.
There's the Cassia for blinds for Illidan, also for Vala. Is this another support?
Yeah,
I think so.
It needs to be another support. I wouldn't hate a Zarya either, actually, here. Just because I love Zarya with Feel the Heat and that many melees. The blind of Cassia makes me a little bit scared, but I am going to absolutely dominate in team fights if I manage to make it happen. She's fallen off a lot, though. So if we're moving away from her, what else helps? What is anti-melee? That is the biggest thing I'm focused on. Rhaegar isn't necessarily the best anti-melee, but he can help with the Illidan.
He's also on Superstar's team.
You're correct. And then going into the Malfurion, is that now? Yeah? I don't like it. I don't have the burst for the Illidan. I need a burst somewhere. Karzim is bad burst, but it could be able to make up for it. It's just, it's a hard question. I feel like it's going to be, maybe a
Brightwing.
Well, I was going to say Brightwing,
thinking it. I was thinking it.
But it's bad. That's why I didn't want to say it. Is I don't like it because you're like, oh, good against melees, but why is double supporting so good, Gilly? Because you have two supports with a burst heal to make the Illidan and the Vala really scary. Who sucks at supporting? Brightwing.
No, you're wrong. She's back.
She's not nearly, I mean, wherever she's hanging out up there, she's not nearly as high impact here. I mean, it's not like a holy cow, how could they ever consider this? I mean, you and I both were like, oh, heavy melees, Brightwing is like, could be a thing. But again, I just think when you look at the core of double support Illidan and the problems that it provides, it's through the never needing to worry about your health pool. Brightwing forces you to have to worry about that, especially into compositions like Illidan, into an Arthas, into a Cassia. Your idea is like, well, I can Emerald win, but it's like if you manage to get in a position to properly Emerald win in this game and not just get one shot, I don't know if I look at you as the guy who's making the outplay or I just look at the opponent and go, like, you just should have been dead.
Is it a Brightwing bomb?
I mean, Brightwing bombs need split aggro most of the time. To be successful, it can't just be a one-trick, one-shot all-in, especially into, again, high survivable compositions like we see on the other side. Rhaegar is the only target vulnerable to that, and you need two CCs to follow up, so you can't Brightwing bomb either. You're just asking for a miracle. That, I mean, like I said, they can get away with it. I mean, cheeky play from Brightwing and double supporting could work, but it's still a significant drop-off.
Not that I would suggest anything other than a Brightwing, but what about a Lily there?
Like it better than Brightwing.
All right, let's get into the game. I can't believe I just did that. I'm so mad at myself for going into game number 3, Superstars versus Even in Death.
Yeah, I don't like the Lily even more. I'm going to be honest. That's something, words I never thought I would say myself. Another thing I
would have liked Lily better. Dreadnought 2017.
I regret everything.
All right, this is Even in Death's last chance to be able to get a game off of Superstars in the series. Of course, they would love to be able to win a series, but I feel like at this point for Even in Death, a game win is so important to the mentality, knowing that they have, this is their 3rd series now in HGC, and they haven't been able to take a game.
I think it's the same thing we see with players at international tournaments from all over the world when they say, of course we want to win. Everybody wants to win, but you also need to be realistic, because if you set unrealistic goals for yourself, you feel defeated whenever you fail to make them happen. And for a team like Even in Death, yes, winning the series, ideal. But realistically, start with the baby steps, right? And that is going to be just getting a win. So can they do it here on Sky Temple? Because if they don't, even Superstars is not the team that they were going to be able to get it on. And again, this is one of the best opportunities for Even in Death to get a win. A struggling, a reformed version of a middle-of-the-mark North American team.
Yeah, that's the important part that you mentioned, is that Superstars are still figuring things out, so that puts them in where they've taken a step back as a team. And we know that Superstars, as they develop synergy, will improve. They improved a lot over Phase 1, but it is a good point for Even in Death to try to get a game victory. But maybe this is it. They do have their Vala Ariel together. We'll see how the Brightwing works out in conjunction with that, plus the Illidan. Trading back and forth here as we get ready for the first temples to activate. Battery not hitting.
The punishment's going to be real now. There's going to be one heal. The hope's there, but the cooldown on the heal is not. One of the struggles of running an Ariel composition pre-7. She essentially has to use one heal only in a gank, otherwise they die within that amount of time. She doesn't have double supporting like some of the other supports, and since it's a one heal and it's AoE and a long cooldown, you feel kind of crippled, or at least have to be significantly more patient when it comes to your supporting early on.
Kitano's still been doing a great amount of damage. Brightwing actually phase shifted down to the bottom. So what are Even in Death planning? What's their plans here? They've got Illidan against the Dahaka. We've seen that 1v1 before up in the top lane. Anubrak's moving in. All right, now the rest of Even in Death are starting to step in toward the mid, and Superstars will follow. Yeah,
I would like to see Illidan either just remain in soak the entire time as long as Even in Death is controlling over mid, but he's struggling so hard in that 1v1 that it shouldn't be that bad. The Yoda's flat bullying him to the point where I expect Yoda to consume the rest of the shots up on top. So that means Illidan needs to move down, help Europe on mid, and make sure they don't stall it out. Otherwise, Superstar is going to move Yoda down and just kind of open up the map way too effectively here as early as the first shrine phase on a map like Sky. That's unheard of.
Well, Homicidal's going to go back up, but here comes Yoda with the brush talk, and there's no way that Vala was going to get out of there. Battery did dodge the drag and makes it out.
Posty was a little bit late there on the follow-up to the Vala pick. If he had, in fact, had gotten the reset, I'm almost 100% sure Anubrak would have gone down there too. Slight misstep, but again, all these players trying to find their new role. Shots are confirmed as we see the rest of them move over there on to Even in Death. But Superstars backed out, rotated towards their Giants. They're going to pressure these out. Much like we talked about earlier in the day, I just want to see this with a purpose. Don't just pick it up for no reason. Either cycle a hard rotation through top, mid, or up onto bottom. But either way, Superstars, I want to see work here with these Giants.
The first temple phase felt a little weird for Even in Death.
Yeah.
The fact that they brought Brightwing down to the bottom, like maybe they just wanted to siege in the bottom, but then Homicidal took too much damage in the top, so they felt like they needed to contest the mid, where maybe they did not plan on doing that otherwise. But something, it felt like some sort of adaptation was made midway through that, where now Superstars have quite a lead over Even in Death. Between the 2 kills, running of the temples too, and now with this aggression in the bottom lane, they've got a level lead over Even in Death.
They have managed to make a lot happen there, especially after they invade. The rotation down to get the clear was real, and the pressure up into the front wall, again, it just felt a little bit less like that one of those turrets should have gone down. You know, that's, I just feel like, again, a little bit of lack of focus here for Superstars, but you could see, man, I almost died there. You can see the intent. I'm sorry, man.
Sometimes
sometimes I inhale, and then immediately my chest just goes, I don't want that oxygen. Like, nah, not today.
Get rid of it. I want some different oxygen.
Exactly.
Some better oxygen.
It's a little bit weird going on here. You know, that post-con blues, or sickness, it's just taking over.
Yeah, I know that well, Dread.
Yeah, do you?
Thanks so much. All right, level 7 for both of the teams. Now we do have a Bursting Light, which will help a lot with Ariel. Dread talked about that one earlier on. Next temple phase will be in the bottom.
It's, you know what? It's hard to explain what's happening like with the Ariel with that level 7, because I mean, unless you really hyper-focus on her, and for anybody at home, if you are interested in understanding supporting, like watch it, that early game fight in the gank and how you have to perfectly time your heal and you have no hope. And then now, as this game, again, post-7 is really the market suddenly where you're like, everybody just gets heals, right? It's just like, how many 3-man heals can I hit? And that's why this comp can become so scary, because Brightwing just makes up for any tough moment that may exist between rotation heal 1 and 2.
Battery was the safe target to have on the temple initially since he had the burrow charge. Brightwing is just sieging up in the top. And in keeping Illidan around in the mid, Dahaka in the mid too, Even in Death are okay with waiting, playing this patiently. Just now sending Anubrak back down to the point, and again, whenever he has his burrow charge up, he can go down to do that, to try to force some people off, get aggressive, and then burrow charge out, slowing things down. Dahaka is trying to do the rotation between the two lanes and hold on to those, but Even in Death more focused on the macro game here with Illidan and Brightwing.
Yeah, and it's gaining them a lot because Even in Death has a pretty effective 3-man down here with the Aryavala and the Anubarak. They've stalled a long while, and the shot's gone over to Superstars now with the final burst moving outward. It won't get the fort. And honestly, Even in Death played that amazingly.
Yeah,
the fact
so
that
good.
they completely took advantage of what a lane mismatch between the Dahaka into the Illidan and the Brightwing 1 versus 2, and knowing that it could be a double global as they trickle in towards the 10 mark. It was really, really cleverly done.
They were down in this game. They were behind, and they have caught up from that move right now. Heroic abilities on either side. Emerald win. They've caught Hosty, but he has a dash out.
So now we're going to have Emerald Wind will provide the passive healing to increase the slow overtime heal, but again, that's lacking that burst safe in between Frozen X rotation 1 and 2. There we see a little bit of pressure moving on to him as he drops another hope. But see, like right there even, where you see both of them walking away, that's where Brightwing goes, okay, I can save you, please Vala help my regen, and then suddenly, bam, an AoE heal hits, and you go, oh my gosh, they're all full HP. And that's my concern with the Emerald Wind, with the Brightwing. I just want to be proven wrong, is really what I want to see here from Even in Death. Make a strong argument, especially out of the hunt into the Polybomb. I think it's going to be a must-have for this type of comp. And what we say by Polybomb, it's essentially Illidan starts the hunt, Brightwing starts the channel onto the Illidan. Illidan makes the connection, point on top of the kill target, and then the second that happens, Brightwing goes, surprise, I'm with him, and Emerald Wind immediately is going to start channeling.
And what you want is essentially what's happening now to Even in Death, which is where you have more people being able to gank on top of one person and get picks throughout. But in this case, Even in Death don't lose their Anubarak. Superstars do steal away their Giants. So Superstars getting a little more aggressive here now that they have their heroic abilities.
It's also, you know, so counterintuitive to play against at first glance, because when the Illidan isolates a target and looks to hunt, you're like, we'll group up and we'll kill him. And then you're like, but if he's got an Emerald Wind sitting behind it, if we don't have a CC immediately to be able to get that lockdown, it's really going to hurt. And if that's the route they go, 13 Ice Block I think is a must on Brightwing. It's actually really high skill cap, but you put yourself in a position to where you force the channel, drop the Ice Block immediately to dodge any hard CC, then you cancel the Ice Block into an Emerald Wind, and it's the only chance you really have to get a realistic one. Something we've seen slowly but surely Twilight Dream Malfurion players do, like, you know, dodge the Ice CC, here's my Twilight Dream. It's going to be the same aspect here for Brightwing.
So Even in Death, once again, in this next Temple phase, willing to stay spread out and continue the soak. I'm wondering when this shifts, when Even in Death is willing to fight. If they don't want to take a fight, as long as they know that they have the global control with both having the Hunt and Brightwing, they know that they can just trade out on the temples of doing so. They are behind structurally for Superstars, and Superstars are finding some of the members out. They know that there are people on those temples. They know somebody is at least on the top, and they find some of the members rotating. They take down Ariel. Yeah,
with that pick, they're just going to want more here. They're trying to chase it down. Nice Howling Blast. Beautiful cleanse coming out from Hal. It's properly timed there. Allows a swift escape from Even in Death. But again, with Ariel falling down, it's really just wait for the Ariel, wait for the 13. Hopefully we can win the next fight. It's just, you can only ask that, you know, have that mentality so many times before you go, there's no way we're getting to the next silencer, so what do we do? And really, now that we see it's going to be 14 into 13, the window is here. This is the opportunity. Even in Death has to at least take a full 5-on-5 before 16's hit on the side of Superstars.
Right, especially on Sky Temple when they're starting to get further and further behind structurally. They were willing to trade out before, but losing even more of the shots this is the time. Your time is up. Your time is now.
Your time is now. In Battery, you can see the attempt to force. Yoda is actually going to get a hunt. Here comes Brightwing. I mean, Yoda's actually just going to not care. Especially with the CC burnt, he can burrow out. OC moves down. Homicidal, second guessing himself here. Look at that Dragon Blade Emerald Wind.
Homicidal is moving out. Here comes the rest of the team. Rain of Vengeance to zone away.
Even in Death won that trade. I think Dragon Breath is worth an Emerald Wind in the Hunt, because the Hunt can auto-attack reset so low that it's essentially not necessary, which we see it online now.
Oh my.
And Emerald Wind is so lackluster.
Look at this flank though. Polymorph, Yoda does not hit the heal, just barely, not enough. Now the ball lightning jumping back and forth, dealing damage to the team. How in trouble. Brightwing gets the Crystal Aegis, but is deleted.
Is deleted there, and now look at Genji trying to get another reset. He won't have that one, but he will confirm the kill there on the battery. Homicidal gets the spray and pray on out. Lutano is going to fall here as well. There is just no hope. 4 kills there, 4 superstars and only 1 on the side of Even in Death. Leads to a fast boss.
Fast boss, there will be temples pretty soon behind this too.
In that fight, you just saw part of the reason Emerald Wind is not meta. Is because if you don't have it, and you have to take Ice Bomb. You have to, because you do not have the mobility in a fight. You gotta remember that Brightwing moves slow. She's a baby who has no mount. She just teleports and goes, team, please save me.
Watch it again.
Watch when she's out of position, because they know she doesn't have Ice Block and she can't save herself with Emerald Wind. They just body her.
It's a great Howling Blast to be able to catch her too from Airho, and then once he Howling Blast, he's going to be right on top of her. Even with the Crystal Aegis, she comes back out, immediate slows there too. She's not going to go anywhere, and then from there, it's just a 1-by-1 picking away the members of Even in Death.
Yeah, because she has some of the lowest HP of any support, because she does have a global, and because she is ranged, she has some ranged spells, but that causes her positioning for the Emerald Wind to be nearly impossible, because again, why Emerald Wind used to be way bigger is you could pre-cleanse yourself. You could force one Emerald Wind to at least be relevant, but you can't anymore, which is why such a huge drop-off, even with the cross supporting, again, doesn't meet the window necessary for the double support spike. And so far, it's yet to be able to do so. Nice hunt coming in there from Homicidal. They get another blow-up on the Saray.
Yeah, that was an amazing follow-up with Brain of Vengeance, too. There is still one person. Polymorph hits, and Genji is out of here. Iacona is going to go down, too. Even in Death punishes Superstars for this aggressive push.
Well, now let's see how much they understand what they need to do at this point in time, because those bottom shots, immediately you're like, okay, get the objective. But on a map like Sky Temple, with this many wins, sending one person is at most the amount of resources you want to commit to this. And so then the rest should be pressuring elsewhere onto the map. And that is exactly where Even in Death goes. And Nubarak, he's going to be the Lone Ranger. The actual strong sieging composition rotates to mid. You know, even nitpicking a bit, perfect rotation because you go to mid. Why? Because bottom is going to receive the shot, should in theory confirm it. Mid is going to sustain the most effectiveness. Now take out mid front wall. Just keep going. You need these structures because, again, otherwise you'll never get a realistic fight. But now, same experience. Structurally, slightly behind. You don't want to trade. But Even in Death, I mean, they can win this game now. Again, a moment where you never thought that window would actually happen. Even in Death finds it.
That one fight, the hunt follow-up with Brain of Vengeance there. Cocoon was good to get the counter kill. Polymorph was great. They've got greater Polymorph too to make sure that they have that just little bit amount of extra time to make sure that they can get the kill on Genji. Very well done by Even in Death when they are down 2 games in the series, still being able to make the plays. Airho gets caught, Polymorph's there, already Army of the Dead is out though, and Ball Lightning hits.
Yeah, but with that many resources committed, Superstars wants to turn it around, especially forcing the Emerald Wind and the Cocoon. Yoda, he comes in on the backside there, he lands the drag onto Brightwing. Aegis is going to be forced, but nice frost shot damage coming out there. The burrow, the reset there for Genji as he goes in with that Dragon Blade, Gilly.
But he goes down too, Genji's out, Even in Death staying alive. It's a 1 for 2 and they're starting to turn the fight. This is exactly what Illidan would want to do. Lutano in the front line too, just going back and forth between the 2 damage dealers. They bring down Cassia. Again, Even in Death win a fight versus Superstars, and you can tell they feel the momentum now.
They feel the momentum, but they also cannot overstep their boundaries. Otherwise, you may see the exact same thing happen to Even in Death that happened to Superstars. Get a little bit too greedy, really solid punishment. But I want to note, fighting in these chokes, watch Frozen X's value. What he can get here. Look at that's 3-man AoE support heal. Another 3-man. 3-man. That's almost a full bar of hope every time he's dropping that because they're all sitting in a chokehold. Territorial advantages are something we don't often refer to except for with AoE CC. We never talk about with AoE healing. You know, Ariel loves those. That's why she's actually one of the best boss supports in the game, is because when you're going to fight over that kind of choke, she's like, everybody just gets heals. Like, you never can fight on top of that boss with her.
And everybody clap your hands because she was hitting so many people with her Sacred Sweep to get blinds too. That's what it was like. It was just like every time. You would think that Superstars would be the blind composition because they have their Cassia, but on that side, man, the cooldown reduction. Oh, here we go again.
And is it going to work this time?
It does.
It's on the line. The Polybomb dream is here. And look at another chokehold fight for Even in Death. The Cocoon reveal. Yoda trying to retreat. The chase is on. Another pick. Superstars now down 2 members. Even in death, they're going to lose this keep, I believe, up on bottom, but they're just ruining this map. They are now going to have a structural advantage after these shots are traded. Boss is up soon, too, right? I mean, it's got to be like 30 seconds.
Soon,
26. Yes. Oh, internal clock, please. 4 seconds? Come on.
Even in Death is just happy to battle now. They've gotten a battleground where Superstars have to fight them here and feeling really good in the late game. Again, cooldown reduction at level 1. And then having the blind after that 2 for Ariel, Righteous Assault. There goes a keep.
If Superstars walks into the eye once more with just a solo Arthas, I'm going to be a sad panda. Yeah, it's happened twice, and both fights have been lost in the later stages of this game. Try to pick a more open territory, fight into the lane for Superstars, and I think it would be more realistic for them to be able to win it.
Here we go. The 20 versus 20 is here. We got continuous wins for so many Emerald wins.
Continuous wins makes Polybomb actually really, really good. If Yoda stops trying to force a fight and instead reacts to the Illidan Brightwing, I'm pretty confident Even in Death might just get deleted. Because that's one thing we're yet to see Superstars try to do to adapt, is just blow up the Illidan Brightwing when they move in together like that last time. Because you can't stop it once you start it with that combo. It is inevitably going to be, my Brightwing is going to be right on top of you all in a matter of seconds. And if you just wait, hit the drag immediately after, she will just go 100 to 0 because, again, there is no ice block.
Lutano is there. He's thrown away, though. Polymorph hits. There goes the
Continuous
Emerald win. Look how separated Superstars are, but Iacona hits the Ancestral Healing. Now Hosty is trying to go in for the resets, but Rain of Vengeance stops that in its tracks.
Yo, Hosty's actually still alive, and look at that. Is now Sray going down. Aegis there to bot a moment. Homicidal, yet to have another punt reset up. He's got 25 seconds, so that's going to be back. The members of Even in Death, they rotate on through to the boss. Yoda knows this. This isn't 100% game. It's very realistically game with this boss, but it's not 100%. You can make a big enough misplay here. Yoda doesn't need to die over this, but yeah, I like he's trying to at least draw some aggro.
Right. The big deal is that behind this boss are 2 temples, and there's only 1 keep remaining for Superstars. 29 seconds until Cassia's back up.
Do you push with this boss? They're so afraid of the back door.
They're really scared of the back door.
The hunt.
The hunt in. All right. So now the back door is
Even
starting.
Even in Death can't do this. This is so insane.
Emerald wins. They've caught Airho.
Airho can't die. He's
does. Dead.
That is so huge. Now Superstars is just in full panic mode. They try and all in. Hal manages to survive in the core on the other side. Falling there. Illidan just dancing all over. That's it.
They did it! Even in Death are going to win their very first game in HGC.
Well fought. I just feel like it's so weird because, like, again, game number 1, looking at the draft and how it didn't play out or anything. Game number 2 was a little bit more of what we would expect, but then into the last game, it's just like I look at that comp and I go, like, I'm really, you know, Even in Death they've got a lot of good things going for them, but do they have the execution? And then when Superstars gets an early game dominance like that, you go Sky Temple, a map where you have that big of a lead, you have structural and experience. No way it goes over to Even in Death there, and then somehow they get the win back. It's like, actually, their lack of consistency is a good thing. It's actually just going even better and better and better to be able to get that improvement. They're just like, oh, this didn't work last time, and make the change. Either way, it's a pleasant surprise and a big old W here. That's the goal.
Big old W.
Big old
Even in Death made so many good decisions there that I was really proud of. Like, when they were trying to catch up to 10 and just using battery to whenever he would go down and sort of stall out the shots and then burrow charge out while the globals caught them up in experience. That was a great decision there. They utilized their globals well. They had the Brightwing bombs, but then again, Superstars did walk into a couple of those fights that went very well for Even in Death. That really was the turnaround for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we take a minute to consider that bottom fight, for instance, right? It's just like, well, if everybody's there and everybody's thinking, hey, this is the only fight they can win, that might be able to turn the momentum, and you don't risk that all-in one-shot wonder, because it wasn't even as coordinated as we saw the other picks into the game, right? For instance, the later stages, we saw actually really well-coordinated polybombs, but that was at level 20. At the level 15, 16 fight on bottom, it was just... You just need to not get picked, and you are going to take that keep, and you should be able to take that game.
Yeah, pushing with the boss on the bottom. Well, now Even in Death has gotten their first victory in HGC. Huge congrats to them, but we're still going in the series.